Hello guys, today I'm going to be installing a very nostalgic fan. Once the camera focuses, this is a Heritage Alexis. Here is the information for you guys. This is a model number H52UL, so this is a Heritage not Heritage Spectre, but Heritage Alexis is what it's called. It is rated at 110 volts. Camera focus. Having a focus freak show. Here. Will doing this help? Okay. Alright. 110 volts. 0.55 amps for the fan only. And 2.2 amps for the light. Which is baloney. So let's see how well the bearings are. Yeah, we need to replace them at some point because the bearings are very loud. Although, all seriousness, I think I'll be able to tolerate that noise because I sleep with a loud air conditioner, so it likely won't be a problem for me. But I'll take note that that is something that has to get fixed at some point. So now we're gonna install the fan now. Let's install the mounting bracket to the ceiling. And as I'm installing the fan, I will tell you guys why this fan is very nostalgic to me. And that is because back in the early part of the 2010s, we had one of these in my parents' bedroom. And I remember I would be playing with this fan every single day. And I remember playing with it, and it was a good time. But unfortunately, my parents decided to replace it with a Hunter Avignon, which the Hunter Avignon is not a super impressive fan, but it's not super low performance either. It's like a solid 5000 CF fan, which is really pretty good for a hugger. And unfortunately, I really wasn't into collecting fans at the time, or ceiling fans for that matter, because I didn't have the space for them at the time. So unfortunately, I never got to see that fan again. But I'm proud to say that as an adult, I finally can get this fan back in my what do you want to call it? Back in my collection. And these Heritage Alexis fans really are not all that uncommon either. You just got to look at the right place and use patience. So, I'm gonna hook the motor on the mounting bracket now. Now let's make the electrical connections. So yeah, story continuing. I remember I would be playing with that fan every single day. And I remember there were days where my parents were trying to get me to go to bed, and I remember they had to grab me and and all that stuff, and just trimming some excess wire here because just so we can make this installation safe. Yeah, I remember my parents would be grabbing me even though I was playing with the fan. And I remember this made a pretty distinctive buzzing sound. I've seen Heritage fans make that buzzing sound, but I don't know if this one will do it, because I find that a lot of times Heritage fans, at least the ones I buy, are very quiet. And that's something noteworthy of saying the quality of this. Now, for granted, this is a polished brass 5-blade model with the 3-arm light kit. At some point, Heritage did make ones with the 4-arm light kit, but those I think are pretty rare. Just shoving up all my wiring up in the electrical box. Because if we don't do that, you could create a health and safety issue. I think that'll be acceptable. And unfortunately, this thing here only came with 3 of the 4 bolts, which I don't think it was a fault of the seller. The original owner who owned the house probably just only did 3 bolts because they lost one or something happened long ago. And now it's just missing for us. No big deal. I think these bolts are a pretty standard size, but it really shouldn't be like that. We can get by with 3 bolts, but there should be 4. Okay, here's that other bolt I need. And you know what? One of my other Heritage fans, I think it's also an Alexis, uses this same system, and it's also missing a couple bolts as well. So I think it's from 2000 as well. It was that King Blade 4-blade one in polished brass with the bull light kit. The bull light kit wasn't factory, but it had a bull light kit with it. Yeah, I'm really gonna need to get some new bolts for this. We'll make 3 bolts work, but I would use it long term with 4. I really have just been very cautious about this mounting system after the couple of these that have sparked on me. The Heritage system really is not that hard to do, but the threaded stud method is not my favorite way of doing it. I like the way of just tightening this with the screws. Much better. These are 5/16 ones. Usually I find these bolts are 7/16. Okay, let's flip it on and hope nothing horrible happens. Oh. Reverse switches. What the heck? Now it works, but very loud. We'll get that. We'll get that noise fixed at some point, but it won't be today. Probably won't be tomorrow either. But sometime pretty soon, I will get the bearings replaced on this. I'll get rid of the wrench because I don't need it anymore for this project. And now let's get the Where did my screwdriver go? Alright, now let's get the motor housing installed. And I remember handling this fan when my dad was taking it down. And I remember I would be playing with it before my dad got rid of it. Unfortunately, it did get thrown away. We did have 3 arguably vintage fans in my house, and this Heritage Alexis was one of them. So now I have 1 down and 2 to go. The other ones I want are a Coda Stratosphere 4 and the JCPenney Alaska Hugger 6-blade. That's one I'm really looking for. Oh boy. Do we only have 3? Oh, never mind. I see the 4th one. I think. Okay, get in the hole. Alright. Alright, the canopy went on and installed pretty quickly. Now let's get the blades attached. Now, one of these irons is bent horribly out of alignment, so I think that we might have a balance issue with this. And also the screws that this came to me with don't look like they're correct either, so we might have a problem with that. It's not a fault of Heritage, that's just the fault of the homeowner. I mean, not a big deal. I can get some new screws at the store, but I shouldn't have to do this. Okay. Got one blade on. Yeah, this is the iron that's really out of alignment. Yeah, that screw is totally not the right one. Hope I can get this installed before my camera runs out of storage. might also be kind of vibrating as well because the blades for the screws for the blades are not in all the are not the correct ones, so you might have a vibrating issue with this, which can easily be fixed by putting in the correct screws. Now the blades on this thing are kind of warped, unfortunately, so unfortunately I don't know how well this is going to perform, but it might not perform its top as well as it could be. And these blades don't have a lot of pitch to them. Although, I think this will perform okay. This Heritage stuff from the 90s and the 2000s, for what you paid, it really was pretty good. I know that Heritage is something that gets hated a lot in the fan community, and as I said many times before, it shouldn't. Oh great, I only have one more screw left. Will one of these screws work? This is a Casablanca screw. Ooh, Casablanca, the best brand ever! Yeah, that Casablanca screw would work. Alright, the last blade, and then we'll be able to... And then we just have the light kit to put on. It's a 3-arm light kit, which... The one that my parents had a 4-arm light kit. Heritage, for a brief period of time, did make these fans with the 4-arm light kit, though I think those are pretty rare because I haven't seen any others in the wild like that. Alright. Yeah, the blades are definitely pretty mangled on this thing. Alright. Now let's install the light kit. Alright. I don't know if this is live or not. I don't have an electrical tester, so I'm going to try to find one of those stupid Wago things, whatever they're called. Or actually, can we just do it like that? Just gotta be very careful, because this might be live. Alright. Alright, that's good. Got the light kit wired up, and now we'll get this up in the switch housing, and we'll tighten the screws, and we'll tighten the shades, then we should be good here. This even came with one mounting screw as well for the electrical box. But at least this was installed on a properly fan-rated box, so that's something that I don't see very often among the fans I buy. They should be on electrical boxes that utilize the 1024 screws, not the 832. But thankfully, I found one that used the 1024. That's the proper screws to be hanging a ceiling fan. Alright. And then we'll put the shades on, which these shades are not your typical shade. This is what they look like. They're these like octagon tulip shades. Yeah, I really like these shades that this has. I don't like how this is not sitting flush against there. I don't know if these shades are even original. I know that originally these Heritage Alexis fans with the integrated light kits came with these. But these are not sitting flush against the light socket like it should be. Not a real big fan of that. Although this one looks like it's doing it correctly, so I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's probably original. Ooh, don't fall off the bed with these. That would be a real health and safety problem. Whoa! This one came loose. Alright. Now we got that. And let's see how well this performs. Those blades have like... Oh wow, that alignment is just awful. This definitely took some abuse at some point. Yep, that bearing noise is definitely audible. Is this as fast as it's going? This does not look right in the slightest. Yeah, this is not going as fast as it should. You know what? Maybe we'll play with the irons a little bit. That one iron definitely needs some attention. Okay, this one looks like the pitch is way too high. I'll turn it down a little bit. Okay. Turn these up a little bit because these are like borderline completely flat, and that is not correct. I definitely am very cautious when it comes to these irons because I don't want these to break. All right. Yeah, this is really out of alignment. Let's see if this makes any difference in the speed. Yeah, it's not getting up to optimum speed. And you know what? This was made in 2000, so this was made in the capacitor plague era. I think that's what the problem with this thing is because this doesn't look like it's getting up to speed. And the capacitor, I think, would be the issue. Because 2000 was in the capacitor plague era. So this is supposed to be high. But as I said, it's not getting up to speed. Let's see. Let's do a feet per minute test. We'll go with 315. So this is about what medium should be. Yeah, I do not think this is operating correctly. Here's medium. Not really a big difference. And then low. Okay, is it gonna stall out? This is moving so slow on low. It almost looks like it's gonna stall. It's making a cyclic hum too. I think it's safe to say the capacitor is definitely bad on this, so yeah, because high is basically medium, which is not correct. Yeah, we definitely got to replace that capacitor, but I have to get to bed because I have an early shift tomorrow at work, so I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.